Okay, Westworld. Here we are. We are going to get started on this week's lesson, and I'm so excited because we are nearly finished with this piece, and it is so exciting. All right. I don't know. Were you one of those Westworld fans from the first season or the second season, or were you just like a music fan like myself? Yes, it's such a cool show. I get the feeling that, you know, with all of the technology advances and robotics and AI and things like that, that we're kind of like headed in that direction with like driverless cars and, you know, supercomputers and, you know, quantum computing and all this crazy automation. I feel like we're kind of headed that way. So that's why I like the show so much. Anyway, Westworld, okay? Take out your music. The first thing I want you to do is share this video with all of your friends. Let them know that you're learning Westworld on piano, okay? The second thing, if you can subscribe on YouTube, go ahead and do that. Let everyone know that these lessons are available, right? And they're so much fun. You can search Izzy Chia. The third thing is if you haven't joined the private group, please do so. That's where you get like feedback from me. So if you're getting some really tricky spots or it's getting hard, I'm there to help you, okay? The last thing is I will make sure there's a link to purchase the Westworld title theme song in the description of this video, okay? If you haven't purchased that music, I highly encourage you to do so, because if you don't, it's going to be kind of hard to follow along, okay? All right, well, the first thing to start, open your book or your music, and we actually learned last time, what was it? Measures 21 to the end, right? And that was like really starting to get wild because it had a combination of like 16th notes, 8th note triplets. We're in a really weird time signature at 12/8 time. And it's just very loud and very menacing sounding, right? So let's see if we can start right at 21. This is the bottom of page 2, the last measure on that page. We're going to start right there, okay? I am probably going to try and play it through very slowly to start, and then I will kick up the tempo as we go through lesson, okay? Okay, let's switch to piano view. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so this is a piece in A minor. Okay, and I have written here, my left hand is playing low, super low D, and an E. So, of course, that sounds totally dissonant, but that's how it's written, right? Let's see. Okay, super slowly. Let's see how this goes, okay? 1, 2, ready, play. Yeah, like that was totally funky. I messed up. I know I did. And it was that part at, let's see, measure 24. That one always gets me because it's sort of like the upbeat of each, let's see. Yeah, the upbeat of each beat. Does that make sense? For the right hand with those 16th notes. And they're very awkward notes that we're playing. I always get mixed up there. Even in my practice, I feel like I'm never destined to play that section correctly. I don't know. I have to work out a little bit more. But I think that if you have done a good job of keeping that consistency in your practice and fixing mistakes when they happen, and not sitting on them, then you're probably in a better spot than I am in that section, okay? I actually want to take that measure 24, and drill that one because I think it will help all of us, okay? So let's do that. Let's go to page 3, the middle line, okay? The middle line measures 24 and 25 together, okay? We're going to drill that, all right? And I think I have a dice, yeah. Okay, I'm going to roll and see how many times we're going to play it through, okay? Oh, goodness, yeah. It says 6 times. Do you see that there? Oh, goodness. All right, let's do it. 6 times. Starting here with my E and my B flat. I'm going to count off. 1. Oops, piano view. There we go. 1, 2. Ready, play. First time and it wasn't that great. So let's try it again. This will be the second time through. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, that wasn't that great either. I need to slow it down. How about we do that? Let's slow that down. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, that was a little bit better. It was just kind of awkward. All right, let's try it once more. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Very good. Okay, let's try that again. All right, 1 and 2 and ready and play and Okay, there it is. Let's play it again. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and play and Awesome. Okay. See, little by little, we're having improvement, right? Just keep at it, all right? If I can improve, then I know you can improve too. All right, let's take a deep breath. All right, let's give it a try. All right, 1 and 2 and ready and go. How did you do? That's always going to be like the thorn in my foot. All right. I really enjoy this piece. I just feel like sometimes when you get it in your head that you like a piece so much that it's just going to come to you, right? You still have to practice it, right? And I think that's the trap that I've sort of fallen into is like, I think, oh, well, I just love this piece. I don't need to practice it as much. Surprise, surprise, you do. It takes just as much work for the pieces that you like as the pieces that are not quite your favorite, okay? So, with that, the main purpose of today's lesson is really just to work on those transitions, okay? So, looking at part 1 going into part 2, part 2 going into part 3, right? These sorts of transitions are the ones that really make or break this song, because you've got different sections in here that each part is gaining momentum, is gaining steam, right? So that feel really has to be there, all right? As far as tempo is concerned, I'm a big fan of taking it slow, because you don't want to rush something that you're not quite comfortable with the transitions yet. When you get comfortable with the transitions, by all means, we are going to turn up that tempo, okay? But at this point, since we're just sort of putting those puzzle pieces together, let's make sure that they're coming together very, very smoothly, okay? I'm going to switch to piano view, and I'm actually going to play the entire part 1 going into part 2. We're going to check that transition, okay? Let's try it. Okie dokie. So starting here, super low A, okay? Starting at the beginning, part 1, transitioning to part 2, all right? And then we'll stop and talk about it. 1, 2, ready, and 4. Pretty good, in my opinion. The transition between measures 10 and 11, like the end of part 1 going straight into the beginning of part 2, right, where they have that double bar line, okay? That section right there, it came together fairly smoothly. I think part of the reason why it did was because I took the tempo slow enough to anticipate what was coming, right? That's the beauty of taking it slow. There is no shame in taking it slow, okay? You may feel like, oh dear, this is like snail's pace, right? But that's okay, because you're still learning it, all right? As you progress, as you get better, as you get more confident in it, you can kick up the tempo, okay? Don't let that ever be a hindrance to your learning, okay? Tempo is something you can always change. Habits of playing wrong notes is not something that you can change, or it's very difficult to change it once it's learned that way, right? I am always one of those people that says accuracy over speed. Does that make sense? Yeah, so accuracy of your notes is way more important to me than the speed or the tempo of your piece. So remember that, okay? Even like in judging competitions and whatnot, I have always had every single judge in a piano competition tell me the accuracy and the musicality of your notes is more important than the tempo, right? You can get it as close to the original tempo as you possibly can, but if it means that you're sacrificing notes or musicality, then go ahead and keep it a couple clicks below the original tempo. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now let's take a look here at the transition between part 2 and part 3, okay? Part 3 is where it gets like really, really crazy hard, okay? Now, looking there, for this section of playing, I'm going to begin at the beginning of part 2, and I'm going to play all the way into the transition of part 3, okay? About a few measures into it, okay? let's see how that goes. It's probably going to be a little bit harder for me because that's a little harder section, okay? But stick with me, you guys. All right. Okay, so if I'm starting here at the beginning of part 2, I need to be very, very well aware. Oh, this is actually an A. This is an A. C is G sharp. Okay, wonderful. All right, so starting here at the beginning of part 2, I'm going to count off. Ready? 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Stop there because it's starting to get a little bit crazy. All right, I noticed, yes, again, my confidence level isn't as high at 17 going straight into part 3. So when I practice this week, that's the transition that I'm going to focus the most on. Transition from section or part 2 to part 3, okay? If you want specific measure numbers, I'm looking at measures 16 to 20. Okay, measure 16 to 20. I'm going to put a star because I know that that's the section that I'm going to work the most at. Okay, that transition between part 2 and part 3. Okay, now as far as the entire song, I think I can probably attempt it one time, but I'm not going to push it, right? Because I already know that my transitions are going to be the parts that are going to be the most tricky for me. Okay, or the trickiest for me. All right. Now, there, like I said, no shame in taking the tempo really, really slowly, okay? After we play it all the way through, I will go ahead and notate different sections that might be useful for you to drill on your own, okay? But again, if you have other sections in mind, drill the ones that you find out, okay? All right, let's see how it goes the whole thing through. Okay, this might be interesting, but let's try. It never hurts to try, all right? And I know that every time that I play it, I get a little bit better and a little bit better, right? That's the beauty of practicing. All right, starting at the beginning. 1 and a, 2 and a, ready and a, play. Again, I know where I need to practice, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. The sections and the measures, in my opinion, that might be helpful to practice would definitely be the transition between measure 16 and 20. Okay, that's a transition between part 2 and part 3. Okay, also it might be a good idea to sort of read ahead of each page. Okay, so if you look at the bottom of page 1, there your left hand is on a low G, right? But if you want, I can even show you. So right here, this is a G. You see that G right there? That one. If you look at the next page, the top of it, it's actually an A for the next chord. So I'm actually going to write A at the bottom of page 1. So I know it's coming, right? That way there's no surprises, okay? If you've got any surprises in this music, it's probably because we didn't write enough pencil marks, right? So there's my A that I wrote, okay? Now, same thing at the bottom of page 2, right? If you look at the bottom of page 2, your left hand is playing a low D octave. But the next note on the top of page 3 is a low C, right? I am anticipating this note coming. So I'm going to write a C at the bottom of page 2. So that way I know it's coming, right? Let me show you what that looks like, right? Right there. Okay? There's reasons why we do these things as piano players, is so that we don't necessarily have to use brain cells worrying about the next chord when you probably need to be spending time thinking about a different part or a different section more critically than something as easy as an octave that's coming, right? If you can sort of eliminate the stress about moving your hand a certain direction by just writing one quick pencil mark, then do it, right? Okay, so definitely the page transitions and then the transition between part 2 and part 3. Those are the transitions that I'm going to be practicing, okay? Again, if you need to practice a different section, that's perfectly fine, okay? Use a dice, you can use counters, you can, whatever it takes to get you to play things multiple times, extracting a section, drilling it, and then reinserting it into the whole piece, right? That is how you improve, okay? Now, if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you're worried about something with your music, record a quick video question or play a section, post it in our private group, right? That way I can help you work through it. We're learning it together, right? That's what I'm here for. These are all fresh in my mind. That way I can help you, okay? So take advantage of that. All right, so that is our WESTWORLD lesson for today, WESTWORLD number 4. WESTWORLD lesson number 5 next week is going to be all about tempo, right? So we're going to be bumping up the tempo. So it could be a little teeny bit of metronome use, maybe, depending on my mood. Metronomes can kind of drive me a little bit crazy, but they do serve a purpose, okay? So we'll start with a little bit of metronome, and then we'll dive right into bumping up the tempo of WESTWORLD, okay? Thank you so much for joining me. It was so much fun. Even though it started a bit rocky, we are doing amazingly well, and I'm so proud of the progress that you've made, all right? Quick reminder, I am on Patreon, right? So Patreon, if you don't know what that is, it is a platform for creative people like myself to collect a sort of more regular income, right? I have tiers from $5 a month all the way up to $50 a month. If you're ready to make that next step in supporting these lessons that I've been bringing you week after week, I would love to have you in my Patreon community. It's a fun group of people. Right now I've got 26 patrons, and I love them all dearly. I would love to include you in that as well. So check out patreon.com/IzzyChia, and you can learn more about me there, okay? Thank you so much for letting me say that. And of course, we end every lesson with a music quote. So today's music quote comes from the Indian PhD author and philosopher, Dr. Amit Ray. And this is what he says. Wake up, live your life, and sing the melody of your soul. I love all of these sort of like metaphors of life and music and, you know, the highest form of human expression, music or singing or making music. It's so beautiful to just hear these words and be able to relate to it as a piano player, as a teacher. I hope that that quote resonated with you as well. I'm going to actually start doing something, making little graphics for all of my quotes, because I've done like, I don't even know, like 50 or 60 quotes now. So why am I keeping those for myself? I need to give those to you guys. So I'm going to start doing that too. If you'd like to download a copy of the quotes that I've been doing, start looking for them on the Facebook page, okay? See if you can find them on there. Encore Music Studio, okay? Thanks for letting me do our quote. Again, I'm so glad you could join me today. I hope that you learned something. I hope you were challenged. I hope you were excited. I'm happy to bring you these every single week. I will look for you in the music group, Encore Music Makers, and I hope to see you soon. All right? Have a lovely day.